Good morning, everyone. The webinar will be starting shortly. Before we begin, however, I'd like to know if you're able to view the screen clearly and also hear my voice properly. Kindly confirm by commenting on chat. Good morning and welcome to the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. My name is Nirmit. I'm a product specialist at ManageEngine and I will be your trainer for today. I hope I'm audible and that you're able to view the presentation clearly. Please confirm by commenting on chat. I will wait for your confirmations. Now that I've got a few confirmations, let's move along with the presentation. This 2-week training program has been designed to help you better understand the features and benefits of Mobile Device Manager Plus. We are in week 1 of the training, and today we will be dealing with application management and device security. In the next week's training session, we will be covering device enrollment and provisioning. For more information on this training program, please feel free to access the link given here below. If at any point during this training session you have any queries regarding any of the features that are being discussed, feel free to post them on chat. We have a panel of experts on standby ready to answer all of your queries. Let's take a quick look at the training agenda for today. We will be starting off with an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus, understanding the product architecture and its prerequisites, before moving on to application management, where we will first cover the entire app lifecycle management process before moving on to the kiosk mode feature, which allows you to lock your corporate devices to specific apps. Next up, under device security, we will come across a whole host of security-related features provided by MDM, such as tracking and remote troubleshooting your corporate devices, containerization, which essentially allows you to segregate the personal and corporate workspace on the devices, OS update management, which allows organizations to ensure that all the devices that are in its IT environment are running on the latest OS versions, content management, which allows you to securely distribute your business-sensitive documents directly from your MDM server and onto your managed devices. And finally, if in case one of your devices gets lost or misplaced or even stolen, we will explore those features in MDM that will help you to secure the devices and the corporate data on them. We will next discuss a few scenarios commonly faced by organizations across the globe and also see the solutions for it, before ending this training session with a small Q&A segment. Let's kick things off with an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. Mobile Device Manager Plus offers support for phones and tablets across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. And recently, we also started supporting Chrome OS. It is available as an add-on to the on-premises version of ManageEngine Desktop Central, which is a unified endpoint management solution from the stables of ManageEngine. It is also available as a standalone product, available both on-premises and on cloud. And very recently, we also launched the MSP version of Mobile Device Manager Plus to help out the managed service providers effectively manage their clients' mobile endpoints. Mobile Device Manager Plus also integrates with leading help desk solutions such as Spiceworks and Service Desk Plus. This way, the help desk technicians gain additional insights into their mobile assets and can also perform basic mobile device management tasks right from the help desk console itself. We also integrate with Zoho Creator, which is essentially a low-code app development software. This allows organizations to not only create in-house applications, but also have them distributed and silently installed on the devices. And finally, we also integrate with Zoho CRM. Now here's the Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture. It has 3 major components: the MDM server, the push notification services, and the devices that need to be managed. The MDM server contacts the push notification services, which in turn wake up the devices. The devices then get in touch with the server for further instructions. If in case you're worried about security and you do not wish to expose your MDM server to the internet, MDM provides you with an option wherein you can configure a secure gateway. This secure gateway will then act as an intermediary between your MDM server and the internet. You needn't worry about this if you're using the cloud version of the product. As explained earlier, there is a lot of communication that happens between the three major components in the MDM server's architecture. And to ensure secure and fast communication between all of these three major components, here is a list of ports that need to be kept open at all times. For example, for secure communication between the device and the mobile device manager plus server, the inbound port 9383 needs to be open. Similarly, here are the remaining ports that need to be kept open at all times. It's important to note that some of these ports are applicable only for the on-premises version of the product. So how does MDM actually manage devices? In case of iOS and Windows devices, MDM leverages the native client present on these devices to manage them effectively. However, in the case of Android devices, you need to download any MDM app onto those devices to ensure that these devices are managed effectively. Now let me take you through a quick walkthrough of the MDM products UI. As you can see, we are currently in the Home tab, and over here, you get a brief overview of everything that's happening in your IT environment with respect to your mobile assets. So you have all the enrolled devices listed over here, the inactive devices, the devices for which the enrollment is pending, the enrolled users, and also the devices with blacklisted apps on them. You can also view the device according to the device type, whether these are smartphones, tablets, laptops, or any other kind of devices. The devices are also segregated and displayed for your benefit based upon the platform type. You can also see whether these devices are owned by your organization or whether they are devices owned by your end users. In addition to that, you also have a brief summary of all the blacklisted as well as whitelisted apps in your IT environment. Switch over to the device management tab, and over here you have features such as your corporate security profile management, application management, remote troubleshooting, content management, OS update management, and conditional exchange access. Under the inventory tab, you will get more granular information regarding every device that's being managed in your organization using the MDM server and also the applications on it. In addition to that, you also have the geo-tracking feature listed over here. Move over to the enrollment tab, and over here to your left, you'll find a list of all the different types of enrollment method supported by MDM across iOS, Android, Chrome, and Windows. Under the Reports tab, you'll find a list of predefined reports segregated based on application type, hardware type, enrollment type, and security type. In addition to this, you also have the option of writing your own query to create your own custom report. Under the Admin tab, you'll find all the basic settings such as your NAT, proxy, mail server, your inventory settings, your user admin settings, and your DB settings as well. Finally, under the Support tab, you'll find links to your forums, blogs, knowledge base, FAQs, how-tos, and resources. Now let's move along with the presentation. Next up, we'll be discussing application management. And firstly, we'll see as to how you can install and manage business apps using the MDM server. So this is how app management works in MDM. With MDM, you can manage both your store apps as well as your enterprise apps. Store apps are those apps which are available for public download on the respective app stores, whereas enterprise apps are those in-house apps which are specific to your organization only. Now you can add both your store apps as well as your enterprise apps into the MDM server's app repository, and then using the MDM server, you can have it distributed to the devices that you're managing. Now, as far as the installation process is concerned, the installation of the store apps is taken care by the respective app stores, whereas the installation for the enterprise apps is taken care by the MDM server itself. Now, let me quickly take you back to the MDM server and show you how you can first add an app to the MDM server's app repository, distribute it to devices, and have it installed on them. So, click on Device Management, select App Repository. Now to add an app, select the Add App dropdown And for this example, let's choose to add an App Store app. So enter the name of the app. As you can see, the MDM server is contacting the App Store to get the details regarding this particular app. Now, in order to facilitate this communication, you need to ensure that your App Store has been whitelisted on your corporate firewall. Now, once I click on the app, you'll notice that the bundle identifier and the Apple Store ID get automatically pre-filled. If in case you're based outside the United States, you can choose to change a region by clicking on the Change Region option and selecting the region to which you belong to. Now, here are a couple of important app policies that you need to pay close attention to. By clicking on the first option, you can ensure that once a device gets unmanaged, the apps distributed on the device also get automatically removed. And by clicking on the second option over here, you can ensure that this particular app's data does not get backed up to iTunes or iCloud. In addition to all of these configurations, MDM also allows you to manage additional functionalities and capabilities of the app by uploading an XML configuration file. Now, this is possible only if it has been supported by the app developer. Once you're done with all of these configurations, go ahead and click on Save, and you'll find the app listed in the app repository. Now, you can filter out all the App Store apps. And as you can see, you have all of these apps which have already been added to the app repository. Now, to distribute a particular app to a device, all you need to do is click on Groups and Devices, select the Devices option, filter out the devices based on the platform, select the device to which you want to distribute a particular app, click on the Actions drop-down, and select the Distribute Apps option. Now, as you can see, these are all the apps that are available for distribution to this particular device. If in case you have a large number of apps listed over here, you can look for your app by using the filter options over here, or also using the search bar given over here. Now select the app that you want to distribute, which in this case is going to be Zoho Creator. And under installation type, choose manual installation from app catalog. This ensures that the app gets distributed to the device and the users can access the app by clicking on the MDM app and opening the app catalog tab present on it. I'll explain to you how you can silently install apps a little later in this training session. Now click on Select. As you can see, the Zoho Creator app has been successfully distributed to Jim's iPad. Now let's see what happens on the device once an app has been manually distributed to it. As you can see, the user needs to open the MDM app on the device and click on App Catalog. Over here, the users will find a list of all the apps that have been distributed to their device. Upon clicking Install, they will be asked to authenticate themselves using their iTunes credentials. And upon successful authentication, the installation process will begin and the app gets installed successfully. So this was a manual app installation process supported by MDM. In manual installation, every device must be provisioned with an iTunes account, and also user intervention is required to complete the app installation process every single time you want an app to be installed on the device. Now, what if your end users are non-technical? And what if you need to distribute apps to multiple devices? Not to worry, MDM has a couple of automatic app installation process just for you. In case of iOS devices, we leverage the Apple Business Manager program, and in case of Android devices, we leverage the Google Play for Work program. Now, both of these are completely free of cost. So what are the benefits of configuring ABM or Play for Work? You can, of course, build your own enterprise app repository containing only your IT-approved apps, which obviously includes both your store apps as well as your in-house apps. In addition to this, you can also restrict your end users from installing any other apps from the store. Now let's quickly take a look at Apple Business Manager. With Apple Business Manager, you can now whitelist and approve only those apps that are absolutely required by your organization. Also, You can manage these apps with licenses that can be applied to devices and also revoked as per your convenience. And finally, you also have the option to control app updates. But here are a few prerequisites that need to be met before you go ahead and configure Apple Business Manager. First up, you need to create an account with ABM. And next, you need to ensure that the iOS devices are supervised. Now, we'll explain how you can supervise devices in the next week's training session. So here's how ABM actually works. First up, you need to integrate the ABM portal with the MDM server. Next, you need to purchase and approve apps on the ABM portal. And finally, you need to distribute these apps to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps will get silently installed on the devices. Now let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how you can set up the Apple Business Manager portal on it. So go back to the server and under Device Management, select App Repository. Now select the Apple VPP Distribution tab. As you can see, this has already been configured on my server, but I'll show you how this is done from scratch on another server. So, as always, under Device Management, click on App Repository and select Apple VPP Distribution. Here, you can either choose to configure apps for business or for school. So I'll be going with the option Configure Apps for Business. Now, the first thing you need to do, as discussed earlier, is to create a business account using your corporate Apple ID. So once you log into your Apple Business Manager portal, so this will be your Apple Business Manager portal, and once you log in, you need to click on the Settings option over here. Next up, select Apps and Books, and you'll have a server token that's being displayed. You need to download this server token and upload it back onto your MDM server. So this is where you'll be uploading the server token, and you need to ensure that the app installation type is chosen as without Apple ID. It is this that ensures that the apps get silently installed on the devices without any need for the end user to intervene. Also, the server token is valid only for 1 year, after which it expires. Now, to ensure that you get timely renewal notices regarding the expiry of the server token, kindly provide the email ID of the person who is in charge of this renewal process. Once you're done with all of these configurations, you can go ahead and click on Save, and you'll find the configuration information as displayed on my server over here. Now that the ABM portal is configured and integrated with your MDM server, you can go ahead and start purchasing apps on it. So click on Apps and Books, and in the Search tab, type in the name of the app that you want to purchase and approve, which in this case is going to be Zoho CRM. Select the Zoho CRM app, and before you go ahead and purchase the app, it's important that you ensure that this app is marked as device assignable, as you can see over here. I'll explain to you the significance of it a little later in this training session. Once you've ensured that this app is marked as device assignable, you can go ahead and specify the number of licenses that you want to purchase for this particular app and click on Get. Once this is done, the app is now purchased. So what happens is the MDM server automatically syncs with the Apple Business Manager portal once every 24 hours. And when that happens, all of the apps that were purchased on the ABM portal get added automatically to the MDM server's app repository. However, if in case you want an app to get immediately reflected onto the MDM server's app repository after the purchase, go back to the MDM server, click on App Repository under Device Management, select the Sync Apps dropdown, and click Sync VPP Apps. As you can see, the MDM server is now being manually synced with the ABM portal. And once the sync is completed, you'll notice the apps that you've just purchased on your ABM portal gets reflected on your app repository. So filter out all the App Store apps. And as you can see, you'll find the Zoho CRM app over here as well. Now, select the Zoho CRM app and you'll get more information like the total number of licenses purchased, the number of devices to which the app has already been distributed to, and the number of licenses available as well. Now, In order to distribute this app to multiple devices, click on Groups and Devices under Device Management. You can either distribute it to a particular group or to all the devices in your organization as well. So I'll be choosing to distribute an app to all the devices in my organization. So I'll click on the Devices tab, filter out all the iOS devices, select all the devices that I want to distribute a particular app to, click on the Actions drop-down, and select Distribute Apps. Now let's assume that I want to distribute the Zoho Creator app to all of these devices and have it installed on them without end user intervention. So I need to select the app over here, and under installation type, I need to choose the option Silent Installation. This ensures that there is no need for the end user to intervene and the app gets installed silently on the devices. Once you've chosen this option, click on Select. And as you can see, Zoho Creator app is now distributed successfully to all of the selected devices. So now let's go back and see what happens on the devices in case of the silent installation method. As you can see, the installation of the particular app begins immediately and automatically without any need for the end user to intervene, and the app also gets installed silently. Now, here's an important recommendation for you when it comes to the app distribution process. If in case you're distributing an app with a file size of over 150 MB, you need to ensure that the device to which this app is being distributed to is connected to a Wi-Fi. Otherwise, this app distribution process will eat into your end user's data plan, which is not an ideal situation for both your end user and yourself. So, how can you control app updates? Now, before we see how we can control app updates using the MDM server, let's understand as to why one would need to control these app updates in an organization setting. The updated version may be a patch for existing security issues, right? And sometimes the updated version may be a patch for bugs or other issues affecting productivity. Also, sometimes the latest version of the app might have a few flaws that will cause the app to function in a way in which you hadn't originally intended it to. So it's always recommended that you first try out an update on one device, and if you're satisfied with the functionality of the the latest version of the app, you can go ahead and distribute it to any number of devices that you want. Now, you can control app updates if the apps are purchased via the ABM portal and are marked as device assignable as explained earlier. So what happens when an app is marked as device assignable? Under normal circumstances, a user will get notifications regarding app updates directly from the store onto his device, and he or she can go ahead and choose to either install or ignore that update. However, if the apps are purchased via ABM and they are marked as device assignable, the App Store will no longer be able to contact the device regarding any such updates. So essentially what happens is you can restrict any app update by the users and also force critical app updates directly from the MDM server without any user intervention. So let's see how this can be done. So under Device Management, click on App Repository, right? And if in case there are any updates available, you will get a notification over here. So clicking on the notification, you can select the app for which there is an update available and have it distributed to any number of devices that you want. Now, let's move on to Google Play for Work. Just as in the case of the Apple Business Manager program, you also have a set of prerequisites for Play for Work as well. First up, you need to create an account with Google Play for Work, and then you need to ensure that the devices must be running Android 5.0 or later versions. Here's how Play for Work functions. You first need to integrate the Play for Work portal with the MDM server, purchase and approve apps on the Play for Work portal, and then distribute these apps to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps will get installed silently on the devices. Now let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how you can begin the process of integrating the Play for Work portal with the MDM server. Under Device Management, click on App Repository and select Android for Work. As you can see, The Play for Work portal has already been configured over here, but let me show you on another server as to how you can go about doing it from scratch. As always, under Device Management, click on App Repository, select Android for Work. Sorry, let me just log in again. Yeah. So once you click on Android for Work, if in case your organization has a G Suite account, you can choose to register for it using the G Suite account itself, or you can register for it using any Gmail account that your corporate uses. So this time I'll be going for the register without G Suite option. By clicking on that, you'll be redirected to the Play for Work portal. Over there, you need to sign in with your Gmail account. Click on Get Started, and then you need to enter the name of the organization and also ensure that the EMM provider is listed as ManageEngine EMM. Now, once you've accepted all the terms and conditions, click on Confirm and complete the registration. Once the registration is completed, you will find the details of that particular configuration over here, as can be seen on my server. Now that the MDM server is integrated with your Play for Work portal, you can go ahead and start purchasing and approving apps on your Play for Work portal. So go back to your Play for Work portal. On the search bar, type in the name of the app that you require, which in this case again is going to be Zoho CRM. Click on Zoho CRM from the search listings. Click on Approve. Now these are all the permissions that you need to accept on behalf of your organization. Now click on Approve, and the app gets purchased on the Play for Work portal. As explained earlier, for ABM, the same thing applies for Google Play for Work as well, wherein your MDM server automatically syncs with your Google Play for Work portal once every 24 hours, and all the apps that you purchase on your Play for Work portal get automatically added to the MDM server's app repository. However, if in case you want to ensure that a particular app gets reflected on the MDM server's app repository immediately after purchase, go back to the MDM server, click on App Repository under Device Management, and select the Sync Apps dropdown. Now go ahead and click on the option Sync Play Store Apps. This option manually syncs your MDM server with your Google Play for Work portal. Now, filter out all the Play Store apps. Now you can go ahead and select any one of these apps. As you can see, you have an additional tab over here called the Permissions tab. Click on it and select Modify. Now this allows you to modify app permissions, which essentially restricts the app from accessing any of these device resources. After you're done configuring all of these details, click on Save. Now, in order to distribute this app to multiple devices, go ahead and click on Groups and Devices. Now, let's assume I want to distribute this app to a particular group. So let's assume I want to distribute it, say, to the marketing department. I'll select the marketing department, click on Actions, select Distribute Apps. Now choose the app that I want to distribute to this particular department. So I'll be distributing multiple Android apps. And under the installation type, I will be choosing Silent Installation. Click on Select, and you can see that all of the apps are now associated with the marketing department, and all the devices that fall under the marketing department will have these apps installed on them. Now let's see what happens on the devices once the apps have been distributed to it. As you can see, you'll get a notification, or rather the end users will get a notification on the devices stating that a work account has been added. And once the notification appears, the installation of the app begins. Once the app is installed successfully, you can click on the app and view the permissions. Now, these are the permissions that we had configured earlier. There is no way for the end user to reconfigure any of these settings. So, what if you also have in-house apps? Do you need an ABM account or Play for Work account for silent installation? No, that is not needed. If in case you want to manage in-house apps using the MDM server, there is no need for an ABM or a Play for Work account. However, there are a couple of prerequisites that need to be met. For iOS, the devices must be supervised, And in case of Android, the devices must either be Samsung devices or must be provisioned as a device owner. Now, supervising devices in case of iOS and provisioning an Android device as a device owner will be covered in depth in the next week's training session. Now, let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how you can add an enterprise app to the MDM server's app repository and have it distributed to multiple devices. So go back to the MDM server, click on App Repository, select the Add App dropdown, choose the Android Enterprise app because for this example, we'll be going ahead with the Android Enterprise app process. Now over here, you need to upload an APK file. So I'll be doing just that. This is the APK file of the app which I want to add to the MDM server's app repository. Now give it a couple of seconds, and as you can see, once the upload is completed, the bundle identifier and the app version will get automatically filled. Now you need to go ahead, specify the name of the app, the category to which the app belongs to, and also the devices supported by the app. Now if in case you have an update for this particular app, all you need to do is first, of course, click on Save, and the app gets added to the app repository. Now, in case you want to update this particular app, you can filter out the app. So I'll be filtering out, as you can see, you have the Z Delivery app over here. Click on the Actions tab, select the Modify App option. All you need to do is remove the old APK file and upload the latest version of it. So which I'll be doing right here. And you'll notice once the upload is completed successfully, the app version will change from 1.0 to 2.0. Once you're done with this, you can go ahead and click on Save. Now, in order to distribute this app to multiple devices, click on Groups and Devices, select Devices, filter out the Android devices in your environment. So choose a device to which you want to distribute this particular app to. Click on the Actions dropdown, select Distribute Apps, select the Z Delivery app, and under Installation type, be sure to choose Silent Installation because it's this that ensures that the app gets installed automatically on the devices without any need for the end user to intervene. Click on Select, and the app gets distributed successfully onto the device, and the installation process is also completed simultaneously. Now, before we move on to the next section, if in case you have any queries regarding any of the features that are being discussed, please feel free to post them on chat. We have a panel of experts on standby ready to answer all of your queries. So let's move along with the presentation. Next up, let's see as to how you can whitelist specific apps on corporate devices. So what do I mean by whitelist? It's essentially locking down your corporate devices to specific apps. Using the kiosk mode feature provided and supported by Mobile Device Manager Plus, you can now provision devices with either a single app or multiple apps. You can also configure device settings to ensure that the end user does not have the option of changing any of these settings later on. So consider the following scenario where your organization has a logistics wing, and the logistics wing has a supervisor and multiple drivers. The supervisor assigns trips using one app, whereas the drivers would require two apps. One to know the trips assigned to them, and also another app for navigation purposes. Now let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how this scenario can be accomplished using a product. So go back to the MDM server, click on Device Management, and select Profiles. Select the Create Profile dropdown. And for this example, let's choose to create an Android profile. Give a meaningful name for this profile. Click on Continue. And on your left over here, these are all the corporate security profiles provided by Mobile Device Manager Plus. Now click on the kiosk mode option over here. Now let's first see how you can configure a kiosk profile for the supervisor's device, which requires just one app. For that, click on the single app option. Select the app that the supervisor requires, which is going to be Z Delivery. You can choose to have a wallpaper if you want. Now, apart from this, you can also configure the device settings as explained earlier. So you can configure the status bar, volume button, power back buttons, and also the task manager as well. And in addition to all of these device configurations and settings, you have a few additional settings as well. As you can see over here, you can either choose to restrict or allow users the option to configure the following settings, such as your Wi-Fi, flashlight, brightness, and screen rotation. Once you're done with all of these configurations, you can click on Save. But before we can go ahead and publish this profile, let me also show you how you can configure a kiosk profile for the driver's device now. Now, the driver requires two apps, right? One for the navigation purposes and one to know the trips assigned to them. So select the option, the multiple app option over here, and specify the apps that are required by the drivers. The drivers would require the Z Delivery app as well and the Google Maps app for navigation. In addition to that, you can also have your custom wallpaper displayed on the device and configure the device settings as explained earlier. Once you're done with all of this, click on Save, publish this profile. Now, to distribute a profile to a group or a device, click on the Groups and Devices option. Select the driver's group. In this case, click on the Actions tab, click on Associate Profile. Now, these are all the profiles that are available for distribution and association to this particular department. So this is the kiosk profile that we had created specifically for this department. So I'll be selecting the kiosk profile and click on Select. As you can see, this particular profile has been associated with the driver's department, and all the devices that fall under the driver's department will have this profile applied onto their devices. Now let's see what happens on the devices themselves. In case of the supervisor's device, the device will be logged just to one particular app, which is the Z Delivery app, right? And the supervisor will have no option to navigate anywhere out of this app. However, in the case of the driver's device, as required by the driver, only two apps will be available for his or her navigation, and the drivers will not be able to navigate anywhere outside this particular setting. Now, what if the supervisor needs to know all the locations traversed by the driver over a specific period of time? So let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how this can be achieved. So click on the Inventory tab and select Geo-tracking. Now, over here, you need to configure the geo-tracking settings. First up, you have the option of tracking devices always and at all times, or only when they are marked as lost. I'll explain to you a little later in this training session as to how you can mark a device as lost. In addition to that, you can also choose to track devices, or rather track all the devices in your organization, only track specific devices based on the groups in your organization. For this example, I'll be choosing to track all the devices. And in addition to that, you can also choose to enable location history. So enabling location history essentially allows the MDM server to track the location of all the devices that are being managed by it. So it will store the location and also display it to you. In addition to that, you can also choose to save the location history every time a device moves either 100 meters, 500 meters, or 1 kilometer. For this example, I've chosen 500 meters. Now, it's important to note that saving locations over shorter distances may affect the battery's performance. Click on Save Changes and click OK. Now, under Inventory, select Devices. Choose the devices for which you need, or rather the supervisor needs to know the location history. So I'm doing just that, and click on Geo-tracking. As you can see, this will first display the current location of the device, and the same can also be viewed on the map over here. If in case you want to view the location history, click on the Location History option. So I'll be minimizing the map a bit for your benefit. As you can see, these are all the locations traversed by this particular device over a period of time. So geo-tracking was enabled on October 30th, so you can view the location history from October 30th till November 1st, which is today. Now, what do you usually do if there are issues in any corporate device, right? And what if the device is outside the organization with field agents? Now, what if your field agents are not adept technically? You don't have to worry. Using the remote control feature in Mobile Device Manager Plus, you can now remotely troubleshoot devices from your own location. Now let me show you how this can be achieved. Take you back to the MDM server, click on Devices, select the device that you want to troubleshoot remotely, click on the Actions drop-down, select Devices, and click on Remote Control. Start. Now, as you can see, the MDM server is trying to establish a remote session with this particular device. At the back end, the MDM server leverages Zoho Assist, which is a free remote troubleshooting software provided by ManageEngine along with MDM itself. So this takes a little bit of time depending upon the internet connectivity. So once the internet connection is established properly, you will be able to view the device screen right over here. So once you've gone ahead and troubleshooted the issues, you can go ahead and terminate the remote session. So as explained earlier, all you need to do is click on Actions, select Devices, and Remote Control. It's that simple. There's no other complex configurations or settings that's required. So as you can see, you can now view the device screen over here. So this particular device is in kiosk mode. Now, in order for your organization to go ahead and troubleshoot this device, it's important that you first remove the kiosk profile from this device so that you can go ahead and troubleshoot the devices properly. The simplest way to do that is, of course, using the chat commands. So click on the chat option over here and enter a simple chat, which is exit-kiosk. Click on enter. I'm sorry, let me just type this in properly. Now click on enter. Give it a couple of seconds and you can see that now the kiosk profile has been lifted from the device and you can go ahead and do any sort of troubleshooting over here that you require, right? So you can click on the settings and view all the information that you want. Now, once you're done with all of this troubleshooting, it's important that you reapply the kiosk profile. To do that, there's another simple chat command. So there's nothing complex over here. All you need to do is type in enter-kiosk. So once you click on enter, give it a couple of seconds, and you'll notice that the kiosk profile gets resumed automatically onto the device. As you can see, the kiosk profile has now resumed. Now, once this is done, you can go ahead and terminate the remote session. Now, how can you protect against data breaches and ensure compliance? See, data breaches can occur when there is unauthorized transfer of data between your managed device and your unmanaged device, either through Wi-Fi, AirDrop, or any other settings such as Bluetooth as well, right? Data breaches can also occur when there is unauthorized storage of data into third-party cloud services such as your Dropbox, Google Drive, etc. Data breaches can also occur when there is unauthorized transfer of corporate data between your managed and your unmanaged apps. Now, the answer to all of this is, of course, logically containerization. What is containerization? Containerization is essentially the segregation of the corporate and personal workspace on the same device. By doing this, you can ensure security to the corporate workspace while also guaranteeing privacy to the personal workspace of the end user. Now, in case of Android devices, The moment an Android device is enrolled into the MDM server, the segregation of personal and corporate workspace is done automatically and a corporate container is created. As you can see over here, all of the managed apps distributed from the MDM server and onto your managed Android devices will be denoted by a small orange briefcase symbol as can be seen over here. However, in case of iOS devices, Apple itself does not permit the creation of such a container. Now, what are the consequences of that? Now, when you try to access an attachment from your corporate email, you'll notice that this attachment can be accessed by both your personal apps as well as your corporate apps, which is not an ideal security solution, right? It's not an ideal scenario for your organization to be in. So how can MDM help you in this particular scenario? I'll take you back to the MDM server, click on device management, select profiles. You need to create a corporate security profile for this. So as always, click on the create profile dropdown. And since this is a scenario involving Apple devices, we'll create an Apple profile. Give a meaningful name for this profile. Click on continue. Select restrictions. Now the first thing that you need to restrict is camera, screenshots, and screen recording. Or you can even allow camera and just restrict screenshots and screen recording along with AirDrop, because this is the easiest way in which data can be transferred from your managed device to unmanaged devices. Next up, click on security, and here you have the option to restrict the sharing of data from managed apps to unmanaged apps. So I'll be restricting that. In addition to this, you also have the option of restricting the sharing of data from unmanaged apps to managed apps as well. So restrict that. Click on advanced security. And over here, you have the option of restricting USB connections as well as pairing with iTunes. Next up, click on network and roaming. And here you can restrict the users from accessing Bluetooth. Once all of these settings are done, you can click on save, publish the profile as explained earlier, and distribute it to any number of devices that you want as explained earlier. Now, once this profile is associated with a particular device, you can now notice that the corporate email attachments can only be accessed by the corporate apps over here, and there is no way that this particular attachment can be transferred from one managed app to another unmanaged app or to another unmanaged device itself. Even backing up data to third-party cloud services can be restricted. Now, let's move on to the next feature, which is content management. So with the help of the content management feature in MDM, you can now seamlessly and securely distribute documents to multiple devices, right? All of your business sensitive documents can now be securely distributed directly from your MDM server and onto your managed devices. And the end users can view and save these documents only using the MDM app. And these documents cannot be accessed by any other third-party apps or third-party cloud services. Now consider the following scenario, where your sales team needs access to confidential documents prior to an important client meeting. So let's see how MDM helps you tackle this particular scenario. Go back to your MDM server, click on device management. Now select the content management option over here. So this is your content repository, which contains a list of business sensitive documents that were previously added to the MDM server. In order to add a new document, all you need to do is click on the add option over here. Now it's important for you to take note of all the supported file formats and also the maximum file size that is permitted. Now to add a document, you can either drag and drop them over here or simply click this option and add the documents that are required. So I'll be adding these documents. So you can see the documents are currently being added to the MDM server's app repository. You can also add a description. And you can also tag the relevant departments, which in this case is going to be the sales department. Once you're done with all of this, click on done. And you'll notice that all of these documents are uploaded onto your content repository and visible over there. Now, in case you want to distribute a particular document to a device or a group of devices, select that document. Let's assume it's the terms of use document. Click on share. Now, since it's the sales department that had requested for it, select the sales department option and click on select. Now, all the devices that fall under the sales department will have this document distributed to it. Now, let's see what happens on the device and how your end users can access these documents. So your end users will need to open the MDM app and then click on the Documents tab. Once they do that, they will find a list of all the documents that have been distributed to their devices from the MDM server. They can now go ahead and download these documents, and these downloaded documents can be viewed offline as well using the MDM app alone. Now, consider the following scenarios. Let's assume that there are a few changes to the terms and conditions in the document that was just distributed. How do you update this particular document on the end user's devices? Now, if in case you've distributed a particular document, say to 100 or 200 devices, there is no need for you to go ahead and redistribute these documents individually to these many devices. Instead, MDM has a simple solution for you. Let me take you back to the MDM server. Now, let's assume that it's this particular document that needs an update. I'll select this document, click on the Actions tab, and choose Modify. Now, all that's need to be done is to remove this particular document and upload the latest file. So I'll be doing just that. Once this is updated, click on Modified and select OK. Now, all the devices that have the older version of this document will be updated to the latest version automatically. There is no need for you to do anything else. The entire process is automated. Now, let's move on to automating OS updates. Before we see how we can automate OS updates using the MDM server, let's first understand the disadvantages of running outdated OS versions. First up, with outdated OS versions, you'll be missing out on critical security patches. And talking about missing out on critical security patches, I was actually reminded of something. So I'm sure all of you would be able to recollect the Meltdown and Spectre vulnerabilities that affected a lot of desktops and laptops across the globe, right? But what a lot of people were not aware at that particular time was that these vulnerabilities also affected a specific set of devices, right? Now, to tackle this particular scenario, both Apple and Google came up with latest security patches in the latest OS versions. Now, all of the devices that were running on the latest OS versions were kind of secure from these vulnerabilities. Also, another major disadvantage is that older OS versions tend to get slower with time. Now, what if you go ahead and simultaneously update, or at least on an ad hoc basis, update all the devices with the latest OS versions? What are the pitfalls? There is, of course, going to be loss of productivity because your end users might be working on certain critical tasks, and if an OS update is forced at that particular time, their work would get affected. Next up, enterprise app incompatibility. Now, the problem with distributing or ensuring that an OS is updated on all the devices without testing it first is that some of the specific in-house apps might not be compatible with the latest version of the OS. So it's always advised to test out all the apps with the latest version, and if you're satisfied with the functionality of all of these, you can go ahead and have the OS installation process started. And finally, when a lot of devices update the OS simultaneously, this will of course result in bandwidth choking. So what is the answer to all of these problems? It's of course scheduling and automating OS updates. And the benefits of doing that with the help of the MDM server is that it is just a one-time setup. You needn't worry about it later on. And you have options for immediate, delayed, and windowed deployment. And also, you can ensure that the users get notified of a pending update. Just in case you're working on something important, you can notify them that there is an update happening. And the users can also be given the option of skipping the updates if in case they are working on something important as explained earlier. Now let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how this can be configured. Click on Device Management and select Automate OS Updates. Now the first thing you need to do is create a policy. For this example, let's go with an Android policy. So give a meaningful name for this. Now, you can either choose to deploy the OS immediately or after a specific number of days. This can be configured as per your convenience. And also, you can choose to notify users regarding any such updates and configure a message that needs to be displayed to your users. If in case your users are working on something important, you can give them the option to skip the deployment by clicking on this option over here. However, it is important that the latest OS version is installed on your users' devices, right? So you can force the deployment after a specific number of days. In addition to that, you also have the option to schedule the deployment as per your convenience. So let's assume that I want to schedule it on the first week of every month or on a Sunday when the users are typically not accessing any of their corporate data. You can also specify the timeline over here. Once this is done, click on Save. Now, in order to distribute this policy to a particular device or groups of devices, select the policy, choose the Distribute Policy option, select the group to which you want to have this particular policy distributed to. So let's assume I want to distribute it to the finance department. I'll select the finance department and click on Select. As you can see, this policy gets successfully associated and deployed onto the devices that fall under the finance department now. So let's see what are the scenarios we have in store. Now, what if one of your devices have been reported as being lost or stolen? What do you do then? How do you ensure that the corporate data on it is secure? So let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how this is done. So click on Inventory, select the device that has been reported as stolen or missing, click on Geo Tracking, and first you can view the current location of the device. If in case the device is somewhere within your vicinity, near your vicinity, you have an option wherein you can click on the Actions tab, select Device, and click on Remote Alarm. So what Remote Alarm does is, once it has been activated, the device will emit a loud ringtone, irrespective of whether it is in silent mode or not, or even if the volume is turned on, right? The ringtone will be emitted in the loudest possible volume. So this is useful if in case your device is somewhere within your vicinity and the alarm sound will help you kind of navigate and figure out where your device is. However, if in case the device is nowhere within your vicinity, then the first thing you need to do is restrict anyone else from accessing anything on that particular device. To do that, you have something called as a lost mode option over here. So click on the Enable Lost Mode option. Now, as you can see over here, by enabling this option, you're essentially restricting the device to just one particular screen, wherein you can have a message that can be configured, customized, and displayed over there. This message can be displayed in any language that you want. And in addition to that, you can also have a calling functionality wherein only this particular number that's entered over here can be contacted from the particular device. Click on Next. You can also change the passcode for the device and have the same email to the user of that particular device. Now, it's important that you mention the ticket ID that was generated when a device was reported as missing or stolen, and also specify the action that was taken to retrieve that particular device. Once you're done with all of this, click on Locate, and the lost mode will now get enabled. So let's see what happens on the device once the lost mode is enabled. As you can see, the device will be restricted to just this particular screen and will display the message that you configured on your MDM server. And you will also have the calling functionality as discussed earlier, which is programmed to contact just a particular number that you had entered on your MDM server. This is especially useful if in case someone comes across your device and wants to return it to the owner, right? Now, what if you haven't found your device even after 2 days. It's safe to assume that it's lost forever. In such a scenario, it's critical for you to ensure that the corporate data on those devices are erased, right? So how do you go about doing that? Go back to the MDM server, click on Actions. Now, if this is a device owned by your organization, you can choose the complete wipe option, which essentially restores the device to factory settings. Or if it is a device owned by your end user, you can choose the corporate wipe option, which wipes out only the corporate data present on the device while leaving the personal data of the end user untouched. Now, let's discuss a few scenarios commonly faced by organizations across the globe, along with the solutions for it. Scenario 1. Is there a way by which I can remove apps previously available in the devices? These are the apps that were not installed using MDM. Yes, this is possible. So I'll take you back to the MDM server. Under Inventory, click on Apps. So this will display a list of all the apps that are present on all the devices managed by the MDM server, right? First, click on Settings, and over here, you can choose the action that needs to be performed on a device once an app has been marked as blacklisted. You can either choose it to uninstall it immediately, notify users and uninstall immediately, or just notify users and ask them to uninstall it by themselves. Now, in this scenario, I'll be choosing the uninstall immediately option. And in addition to this, you need to notify the IT admin every time a new app is detected, right? So provide the admin's email ID over here and click on Save. Now select the Discovered Apps option. Choose the app that you want to blacklist, which could be these two apps. Select the Blacklist app option. Now, you have the option of blacklisting these apps on all the devices in your IT environment or just specific groups and devices. In this scenario, I want to blacklist these two apps in all the devices. So I'll select that, click on Yes Blacklist, and these particular apps will be blacklisted now. And you can view all the blacklisted apps in your IT environment by clicking on this option over here. Currently, as you can see, I have blacklisted 10 apps as of now. So you'll view all the apps that have been blacklisted, and you can also see the number of devices that have the blacklisted apps. Let's move on to the next scenario. My organization has provided full internet access and no restriction on any web resource to the employees. How can I restrict specific websites without affecting the usual internet activity? Let me show you how this can be done. Go back to the MDM server, click on Device Management, select Profile. For this example, let's go with an Apple profile. Click on Continue. And from the list of profiles available, select Web Content Filter. Now, since, according to this scenario, the organization wanted to blacklist specific websites, click on the blacklist option over here. Specify the URL that needs to be blacklisted, which in this case could be youtube.com, and save the profile. Now, if in case you want to whitelist certain URLs, so essentially what happens when you whitelist is only those URLs that are whitelisted can be accessed by the devices, whereas all other URLs will be blocked automatically. To do that, click on the non-blacklisted option over here and specify the URL that you want to whitelist. Once you do that, click on Save. I'm sorry, I'll just have to specify the URL. I'll be doing just that. So I'll be whitelisting zoho.com. So as always, save, publish, and distribute this profile to any number of devices. Now, these devices to which the profile was distributed to will only be able to access zoho.com, and all other websites will get automatically restricted. The next scenario. As my workforce is extensively mobile only, we want to secure devices with certificates. Can this be done using Mobile Device Manager Plus? Yes, this is possible, and let me show you how. And for this scenario, I'll be using the same profile that I had created earlier. Now, if in case you want to secure all the devices in your organization with just one single certificate, you can choose a certificate option over here and upload a new certificate. I've already uploaded a certificate for your benefit, so I'll show you how this looks. So this is the certificate that I've uploaded. Now, once you've done with all the configurations, click on Save, Publish, and Distribute the profile. However, if in case you want to secure every individual device with a unique certificate, all you need to do is click on the SEEP option over here. Specify your SEEP settings details, your server URL, and the like. Once this is done, as always, save, publish, and distribute this profile to multiple devices. The next scenario, I want to ensure all the network communication taking place on the device is routed through a secure proxy. Can this be done? Yes, it can. And let me show you how. I'll be using the same profile as before. So click on the option Global HTTP Proxy. Here you need to specify your server details. Once this is done, click on Save, Publish, and Distribute this profile. And all the devices to which this particular profile has been distributed to. Now, any sort of network communication that happens on those devices will be routed through this secure proxy server, right? So just save, publish, and distribute it as explained earlier. This brings us to the final segment. So here we'll be discussing a few questions that were asked during the course of this training session. Question 1. One of our employees has forgotten his device passcode and is now unable to use the device. Can MDM help me with this? Yes, it can, and I'll show you how. Click on the inventory option. Select the device for which the user has forgotten the passcode. Click on the Actions tab. Select Reset Passcode. Now specify the new passcode over here, and once you click on Apply, not only will the passcode get changed on the device, the new passcode will also be sent to the email of the person who is using this particular device. Question 2. We are a logistics company and we provide Android devices to our drivers for tracking purposes. Is there a way by which the users cannot disable the location services and it is always enabled? Yes, there is a way for this. Let me show you how. Go back to the MDM server, click on Device Management, select Profiles, create an Android profile, give a meaningful name as always, click on Continue, select Restrictions, click on Location Settings, and over here, you can ensure that the location services are always on. As always, save, publish, and distribute this profile to multiple devices, and all of these devices will then have the location services always turned on, and the users will have no option to go back and change this particular setting. Question 3. Does MDM let me share contact details, calendar events to iOS devices over the year? Yes, it does. And to do that, you need to create an iOS profile. So as always, Device Management, Profiles, Create Profile, Apple Profile, give a meaningful name to this, Continue. So here you have an option called Contact Sync. So specify your card drive account details over here, right? Next up, click on Calendar Sync and specify your CalDrive account details. So once you click Save, Publish, and distribute the profile to devices, all of your calendar events and contact details would be synced to these specific managed devices. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. I want to ensure that the IT-approved apps installed using MDM must not be removed by the users. Is it possible? Yes, it is. So let me use the same profile that I created just now, and I'll show you how this can be done. Click on Restrictions, select the Applications tab, and over here, as you can see, you have the option of restricting users from deleting apps. So I'll be restricting that. As always, click on Save, Publish, and distribute the profile to any number of devices. And all of these devices to which the profiles, or rather this particular profile has been associated to, the end users will have no option to delete any of the apps. Question number 5. I want to ensure employee devices are connected to only those secure Wi-Fi networks distributed via MDM. Can this be achieved? Yes, it can. Again, I'll be using the same profile. Click on Restrictions and select Network and Roaming. As you can see, you have an option wherein you can ensure that device, or rather the managed devices in your IT environment get connected to only that Wi-Fi profile which is being distributed by MDM. So enable this, click on OK. As always, save, publish, and distribute the profile to any number of devices. This brings us to the end of today's training session. There will be a small survey that pops up on your GoToWebinar panel. Please do rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. If in case you found this training to be useful, kindly do spread a word about it on the various social media channels. The next training is being scheduled on November 8th, and that will be on device enrollment and provisioning. We also have a couple of seminars for our audiences tuning in from India. So these seminars will take place in Mumbai and Bangalore. Now, the details regarding these seminars have been posted on your chat window. If in case you're interested in attending any of these seminars, please feel free to register for them. Thanks a lot for your time and patience. It was a pleasure taking you through this training session. Thank you.